Oh, hello. We must be on. Hi, sorry, I was just reading the newspaper. We had an election here not too long ago, and one of the bills that our state legislature in Alaska was trying to pass was a bill seeking legalized doctor-prescribed suicide. But fortunately, it didn't gain any traction. However, that did not mean that the Death with Dignity National Center is not still trying to push for these laws around the country. And depending on which state you live in, you may be one of the 4 in the United States that has legally approved physician-assisted suicide. Now, the topic of euthanasia may be coming up as it has for so long, and so I think we need to know what it is that we face when we talk about euthanasia. So I want to begin with just some definitions so we're all on the same track with it. So first of all, let's look at the definition. And euthanasia is the intentional killing by act or omission of a dependent human being for his or her alleged benefit. And the key word here, as it says, is intentional. There is euthanasia by action, which is intentionally causing a person's death by performing an action, such as by giving a lethal injection. But there is also euthanasia by omission, intentionally causing death by not providing necessary and ordinary care or food and water, which the church says every person, every patient has a right to. So, excuse me here. And let's look at perhaps some of the things that other people have said, including inside the church, about this topic of euthanasia. So let's look first, going way back into history with Hippocrates. I will give no deadly medicine to anyone a fast, nor suggest any such counsel. And as I said, the Death with Dignity National Center is trying to push their agenda around the country, and this is what they say in their defense of the dignity with death. We achieve this through our extensive and costly legal defense of the death with dignity laws, as well as coalition building. Our nonprofit and political action arm provide the flexibility to rapidly respond to both legal and political actions. But something is missing from this position statement, and it's the dignity of the person. Nowhere does it mention the person. It's politics and legal. From our state, from Alaska, the arguments against assisted suicide. The terminally ill are a class of persons who need protection. Otherwise, they will be vulnerable to pressures because of chronic pain, depression, and the effects of medication. This is what John Paul had to say. A man, even if seriously sick or prevented in the exercise of his higher functions, is and will always be a man. He will never become a vegetable. Dignity of the person remains with him. So when we talk about it, a picture of my parents. My father was in a coma for about a week before he finally passed away. He was in, of course, what was termed a vegetative state. But this is what he looked like many years ago, far different from what he looked in intensive care. This is a vegetable. Doesn't look alike, does he? What does my father look like? Okay. Image of Jesus, who is God, and who is made in his image, my Father. Celery, not made in the image and likeness of God. And so, as Pope John Paul says, a human remains a human. Even when they're in a vegetative state, they do not lose their dignity. Now, there is compassion in relieving a person of pain. We hurt when our loved ones hurt. But the compassion is getting rid of the pain, not getting rid of their life. And as we've progressed in the almost 30 years since the Declaration on Euthanasia by the Congregation for the Defense of the Faith, 95% of cancer pain is controllable, and almost all the rest can be made tolerable. Suffering has a special place in God's saving plan. It's how we can share in Christ's own passion. Yes, we want to be compassionate, but that does not mean we ask them to give up their lives. The dignity of the person does not stop when the person is seen as unproductive or of no longer any benefit to society. DNA does not mysteriously morph into a vegetable when we are in the vegetative state. We are compassionate, but we remember that everyone has the dignity of being made in the image and likeness of God. This is why euthanasia needs to be stopped. Thank you, and God bless.